Okay, now we're going to look at writing and naming decimal values. And before we do that, we're going to kind of review place value a little bit right here. So writing a number with a decimal is known as decimal notation. It is a way of showing parts of a whole, then the whole is a power of 10. In other words, decimals are another way of writing fractions whose denominators are powers of 10. Just as in the counting numbers are based on powers of 10, decimals are going to be based on powers of 10, and we're going to look at these tables to show that. So looking at our whole numbers, if you recall, our ones place right here, and so anytime you multiply by 10, you're basically going to move a place value to the left. So this would be our tens place right here, then our hundreds, thousands, 10,000s place. And so what if we go in reverse? Instead of multiplying by 10, what if we go ahead and divide by 10? And that's what we're going to look at down here. So how are decimals related to fractions? So if we, once again, if we were to kind of look at our one place right here, this would be our one, right? So if we divide by 10, it's going to shift that decimal place to the right this time. And so now we're at 0.1, or as a fraction, that would be 1/10, right here, 1/10. Then if you divide by 10 again, as a decimal, will be written as 0.01. So every time you divide by 10, you're going to get that extra zero place value right there. And that's the same as 1/100th. And so you'll notice that we have the TH on the end of all these. So then we divide by 10 again, and we get 1/1000th. Okay. And then here we divide by 10 again, and we have 1/10,000th. Okay. So keeping that in mind, I think we're ready to go ahead and do this. So how do we write a decimal number from its name? So step one, you want to look at the word and. It locates the decimal point. So when you see the word and, that'll tell us where the decimal place is going to be at. Mark the number of decimal places needed to the right of the decimal point by noting the place value indicated by the last word. And I have a chart down here we're going to use to kind of help us with that. So place a decimal point under the word and then translate the words before and into the whole number and place that to the left of the decimal point. So what comes before and is going to be our whole number to the left of the decimal. If there is no and, then we're just going to start with a 0 and then put a decimal point to the right of that initial 0 to start. And we'll see an example of both types. Step 3, we're going to translate the word after and. So after and into the number to the right of the decimal point. Write the number in the spaces, putting the final digit in the last place. And then step 4 will be to fill in any zeros for placeholders as needed. Okay, so this place value chart will help us out here. So here are our whole number place values, which we should be familiar with. And then here are our decimal place values right here, our tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, and 100,000ths. And we could keep going, but we're not going to go beyond that. So if you look back at our directions, the word and is where our decimal point's going to be, and the value before and is going to be our whole number, which in this case is pretty simple. It's just the number 4. Then it says 700ths. And so the hundredths, if you notice here, there's going to be 2 spaces right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pretty much just put 2 spaces right here. And then I need to fill in that number here. And you want to make sure that your value is extended all the way to the last value place right here, which would be 2 spots to the right. So I'm going to put the 7. And then that last step was that if you had any empty spots between your decimal and that last number that you wrote, you're going to fill in a 0. So 4 and 700ths would be 4.07. Okay, looking at our next one right here, we have 68 and 9600ths. Okay, so once again, my decimal point, I'll just kind of put it right here at the and. So let's see, 68, that's pretty easy. We'll just write 68. And let's see, 96 hundredths. So once again, we're going to have 2 spaces here. And this time the 96 will take up both spots. So let's see, 96. So there we go. 68.96 is going to be our decimal. Okay, on example C right here, we have 4/10. I don't see the word and. So when that happens, we just go ahead and put a 0 in our decimal spot and then start to put our decimal value. So 4/10. Well, tenths is just the one spot to the right of the decimal. So I'm only going to have one spot for that, and it's just going to be a 4. So 4/10 translates into just 0.4 or 0.4. This would be the same thing if you just put 0.4. You don't have to put the 0, but a lot of times people will like to do that to indicate that there are no whole values. All right, we have another one where I don't see the word and. We have, let's see, 8 thousandths. So I'm going to start with a 0 decimal spot. And then let's see, our thousandths, that's located here. That's going to be 3 spots. So I'm going to have 3 spots here. And then starting over here, let's see, 8, I can fit it right here. And then any values that were not filled in, we put zeros there. So 8 thousandths is just 0.008. Okay, the next one's very similar, except it's going to be 85 thousandths. And so once again, I don't see that word and, so I don't have any holes. So we're going to have 0.0, and then we're in the thousandths again, so we're going to have 3 spots. And 85, you want to write as far to the right as you can, and so we can write it right here. And then we will have a 0 spot right there in the tenths value. So 85 thousandths would be written as 0.085. Okay, a couple more. Let's see, 90 and 17 thousandths. So I do see the word and, so we're going to have our decimal place. And let's see, 90, that would just be 90 right there, 90. And 17 thousandths. So we have to go 3 decimal places. And let's see, we have 17, so I can fit that 17 right here. You want to make sure you go all the way to the end. And then any zeros between your decimal and your last digit right here, we fill in. So 90 and 17 thousandths is going to be 90.017. Okay, the last one we're going to look at, let's see, we've got negative 99 and 4 10,000ths. 4 10,000ths. Okay, so they threw the word negative in there. We haven't really dealt with too many negative numbers, but that's what it is. Negative 99 and 4 10,000ths. So negative 99, pretty simple. We just write negative 99 with our negative sign right there. And then 4 10,000ths. So we haven't done 10,000ths yet, but if you look on our list, that would be 4 decimal places to the right. So I'm going to have 4 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can fit that 4 in right here. We have to fill in that last spot for sure, okay? And then anything in between gets filled in with zeros. So negative 99 and 4 10,000ths is negative 99.0004. All right, that does it.